Hello, it's Margaret, Dexter Realty. Welcome to join us on our third video on the COVID-19 Survival Parents Guide in a way, because uh, we are in a very extraordinary time, and I think any tips and strategies we can get will be more useful and more helpful. So we're here again with Shawna Moores. She is a professional behavioral consultant for 25 years, and our family have been so fortunate to be able to work with her, and our children have been working with her for 5 years now. So it's been a wonderful journey to learn and grow with you. So today, I think our topic for today mainly is focusing on children and their emotions, especially now. If we found it hard to cope and we are feeling the stress, we're feeling the anxiety, it is even harder for a child to navigate through and to cope. um, I think a lot of time we think that as parent we think, oh no, it's great, you know what, well, they don't have to go to school, they don't have to deal with the homework, they can just go out and play. Well, what do they have to stress about? I mean, we're here stressing about money, stressing about paying mortgage and this and that. But I think it's just looking from their end, because what they have come to know as their expectations all gone, um, the things that they think it's big, maybe we think it's a small issue, but in their perspective, in their world, this is huge. They don't get to see their friends. That's huge, right? They don't get to have their favorite takeout food, whatever it is, I don't know, but to them these are all problems. So a lot of time their emotions are high, their tension is high, and I found that working through with them, even sometimes the expectation part, right? Because when they during the regular days, they go to school, they have no problem doing homework when their teacher tell them, hey, you know what, it's time to do math, it's time to do their reading, it's time to do your math, or whatever the case may be. But now we're being tasked to do this homeschooling, and I found there's a lot of resistance from my children. It's like, well, why do I have to do 2 pages? I'm thinking in my mind, it's 2 pages, just get with it already. But they're like, well, why are you telling us to do 2 pages? I just want to do one. So there's a lot of resistant piece. There's a lot of confusion, I guess. They feel like, well, you're not my teacher. Why are you telling me to do what to do? I don't want to do this. I want to do that. Or I don't want to do that now. I want to do this then. So there's a lot of negotiation, and then if things don't go right, depending on how it goes, generally that always ends up like, I don't like you, and then stomp, 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 stomp. And then as an adult, be like,
On the roller coaster.
yes, let's just say
Together, sometimes separate.
yes. So that's if I am feeling that this is a challenge for me, I feel that perhaps there are other parents that may be feeling the same way, because I think parents, we're not being trained to be educators. It's hard, and it's already overwhelming that we have to all of a sudden learn not only to change our business, but also learning how to do Google Classroom, Zoom platform for the kids, and Google Meet. Apparently, there's all kinds of way. And learning how to structure their routine is already very overwhelming for us. So, Shauna, would you like to just share some of the strategies and coping method for adults, and also helping how we can help our children navigate through this confusing time?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think I'm super glad that you addressed that, Margaret, because this is different times for sure, and we do have some expectations from some of our schools or children's schools to be managing their learning a little bit more than we typically would be. Like you said, typically in the past we would have been helping support with homework, had some information about it, and that varies day to day, evening to evening.
Mm-hmm.
Now we are being asked to do a lot more, and doing it in our homes. This is our place for our children to have joy and run free and enjoy themselves at home.
Right, and have play dates and have friends over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
putting in a bit of a shift. So definitely the tools that we talked about in the first video of managing your expectations, letting go of some of them. I'm super pleased to be hearing from a lot of the school staff that they are telling families first and foremost, this is really about connection and relationships. And so if the schoolwork is impeding in that, which, to a degree it will, because there will be some testing, you're putting on a new hat or a new role for your child, and there will be some pushback and some confusion around it. So hang in there. Again, that number one tool is making sure you're set up for success. So making sure you're able to essentially handle what's coming at you with your child's emotions, and making sure your emotions are in check. All the coping pieces, getting out in nature, doing your meditation, whatever it is that fills you up so that you are set up to support them as best you can.
Have a really nice cup of coffee.
Oh,
first thing in the morning. Just get that done.
Yes, and just spending time with it, right? Being mindful with it, enjoying it, breathing it in, enjoying that time to yourself, and then reflect on it later on when you are maybe not coping so well. But yes, setting yourself up for success so that you can then support your child, because they are trying to figure things out too. And even though, they might be seemingly coping well, there's always stuff brewing underneath the surface, right? They're pretty resilient, our kids. However, they're also picking up on our emotions. So like you said, we have a lot of stressors coming at us in terms of trying to make sense of all this newness for us. And our kids are super intuitive. They're picking up on that energy, whether they understand it or not. It just might feel to them like something's off, because I know it feels for us like things are off because this is new. So really giving them as many pieces, like the plan, having a plan of who's going to care for them when you can spend time together, managing your own emotions, keeping expectations low, and doing what you can, but also making sure that you have more genuinely awesome times together, joyful, bucket filling times when you are together, than the expectation piece where you're having to do some school or having to do things that are acknowledgeably challenging for both parties. It's essentially sounding like a lot of parents are learning to be a teacher, or learning the skill, and then having to teach their child, and that is very unsettling.
Yeah, and actually for some it's learning even the platform that they are now being in, because for all these times and years and ages, children learn in school. Now we have to set up Google Classroom, Google Meet, this and that, and just even getting all the password and all the login account ready for each different class and different teacher. Like that itself, it was a while. Takes a bit.
Yeah, so really, and then kind of just being kind to ourselves, right? Just letting go of some of those pieces that, this is a lot of learning for us too. And, really just take it as it comes. Try and find the silver linings in it, right? Really is what it's all about right now.
Okay.
So yes, when your children come at you with their heavy and hard emotions, coming at you fast and big oftentimes, what will you do? So having all those pre-set up pieces, those tools and tricks we've talked about ahead of time, will be super helpful. But another piece to really be mindful of is that when children are upset, agitated, anxious, worried, frustrated, mad, whatever it is, they're heightened. So everything about them is heightened. Their senses are heightened. They are unable to have reasoning once the elevator has proverbially left the station. So if at ground level your child is able to maintain and act at their best performance, as most of us can, as stressors come in, worries come in, as they start to get more anxious or upset, that elevator leaves the ground floor, no longer grounded, and on it goes, and it can go pretty fast in some cases. And so really, for most children and most people who are, when we have those really big, uncomfortable, icky feelings, when somebody's trying to help or support us in those moments, what we want, whether it's right or wrong, is for them to just meet us with that. Come into this yuck with me. It feels gross. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be alone. So I'm going to poke at you and I'm going to react and do things to try and get you to meet me up here. Don't
Oh
go,
yeah.
don't meet me there. It's not fun. It's not a vacation.
Oh wow. I would have to say I think my children have very like their success rate is high with me, anyways. I get.
Yes, they do know what works, what triggers us as well. And they are not trying to generally trigger us. They're just reacting to what's going on in their own bodies. Like they will try and get you there, heightened with them. The best thing that you can do is stay calm. Try and stay at your ground level with your elevator, right? That's where having all those strategies ahead of time are going to be best for coping, help you in this moment. And one of the key tips for me is reminding or even chanting in your brain in those moments when you are not sure what to do because your child is so out of control. I am the adult. I am the adult. I am the adult. Every child, and well, we talk about every person needing those three things other than food, clothing, and shelter, of course, needing to be understood, appreciated, and loved.
Mm-hmm.
So for our children, they need all those things amplified. They need a safe place. They're looking for a soft landing, essentially. A place that they can come with their ugliest, most unattractive, embarrassing behaviors, and somebody is going to go, I see you, I understand you, I got you. Come on over. I will help support you in whatever that looks like. In your most ugliest time, I will be there for you. How comforting would that be, right? That's what we want. So being there for our children is super helpful in that way, and validating is a large part of that. So creating space for them to come, open hearts, open minds, even if we think it's the stupidest, smallest problem, we keep that to ourselves because that's maturity and wisdom. And eventually they'll get there, but it's going to take a lot of years like it took us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, validating, repeating, so the listening piece, what are they saying? Repeating back what they're saying and acknowledging it, agreeing with them. I can totally understand that spilling your milk this morning is upsetting. Now you're going to have to clean it up if that's what they said they're going to do. If they didn't say anything, then you just repeat what they said. Yeah, that is hard.
Mm-hmm.
So the challenge here is not to solve the problem right away, letting them sit with that. So again, the tears of resilience, right? When our children are crying, they've moved, their elevator is starting to come back down again.
And also releasing some energy.
Yes, absolutely. They've released that emotion. Maybe you've helped them by labeling it, validating it, right? You look mad. Now you need to be careful because if they're up at the top of that elevator, they're breaking through the roof there, and you say they're mad, I'm not mad. That's what you're going to get.
Yeah, I got those.
What do you do with that, right? Now you're just laughing or trying not to laugh because what is this? So yes, when you're validating, you want to make sure the elevator's coming back down to reasoning and you're repeating what they're saying. If it's not working and you're repeating what they're saying and they're just getting escalated, you just stop talking. This is where we pause and sit with the uncomfortability that is the moment. And we either wait for the tears to come. That shows us that they're resilient. They're working through it. They're able to move through. They're starting to problem solve. Mm-hmm. And then after the tears, when they're able to be calm, or maybe even later on in the evening when you have some time, you can readdress. That was really hard for you. Tell me what was going on there. So again, you're sitting with them, you're showing them this is a safe place. I'm a safe person to talk about with this. And whatever comes out, I can handle. Whether you think you can or not, this is where you fake it as an adult. I can handle this. Because how upsetting would it be to be a little vulnerable person and come to somebody and have them say,
yeah,
something other than that, really.
Yeah.
Anything other than that, really.
Like, what were you thinking?
Yes. Right? That's what we want to say. What the heck were you thinking? How many times have I told you?
No.
Learned, whatever.
Right.
But this way we're going to learn in a much healthier, more connected way. And we learn so much faster with connection.
And actually, what you just mentioned, there's a little piece that I really resonate with me is that you give it time. Because when you give it time, not only you're giving that space for the child, but it's actually giving us space too as an adult. Because I found that if I were to just react, I think the damage I can cause
Mm.
is it's going to be more to the child and to me as an adult, because we always go back and say, oh, I should have not done that, or I should have not said that. But for the child, it can be really damaging, and it can be long lasting,
Absolutely. We don't want
right?
to be reacting in a way, and that's the piece. We don't want to react, for one thing. But you're right, this could be super harmful, and it could take a long time, if not extremely long time, to reconnect and fix that relationship just by something we've said in a reaction. Uh,
Right, right.
yeah. So one of the pieces I think that this is super helpful to talk about too is, and that you've brought up, Margaret, thank you, is that, yeah, time. We might need time in a moment. We might, as adults, even feel like, I don't know what to do here. This is beyond me, or my emotions are rising so quickly that I'm going to, like you said, I know I'm going to react, or I know I'm going to do something, and it's not going to be in the most healthiest way or most appropriate way.
Yeah.
So what we're looking at then is a dignified exit. Adults
Mm.
need it and children need it. So two pieces here. One, creating an opportunity to remove yourself from that space. Using the excuse of having to go to the bathroom is a great one, because no one can really deny you needing to go to the bathroom.
Hopefully not, anyways.
Right? And there's lots of things in the bathroom that we can be doing. We can actually use the bathroom, which helps us calm and focus. We can be washing our hands. Cold water is going to stimulate us and kind of help us feel a little bit better and cool off if we're starting to feel hot or overheated because we're frustrated. Warm water is very soothing for us, helps kind of switch us out of that mindset and calm and soothe a little bit more.
Mm.
Drinking water is another. Splashing water on your face if you're feeling really overheated or upset.
Yeah.
And then always return to the situation and talk about it in a calmer, healthier way.
Yeah.
If you have reacted by accident, of course, and said something you shouldn't or done something you shouldn't, then you need to come back and reconnect with that relationship. Acknowledge that you messed up. This is a perfect model for children. We are not perfect as adults, as much as sometimes they get that message mixed up. We aren't. We're still learning too. Now, they want to be able to know that we have got this in terms of we're a safe place and we can handle whatever they have coming at us, hence the dignified exit. But we also want to acknowledge that we're human and we don't always get things 100% right 100% of the time. So this is a great way to model for our children how they can act or react and respond when and if they have done something or said something that they shouldn't either. So reconnecting, you know what, I really didn't handle that very well. I'm sorry, I owe you an apology. When an adult apologizes to a child, it's like,
Yeah, no, it's very
you
powerful.
comprehend it, big, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I actually found children can be very forgiving. Like if you have the courage to go back and say, hey, you know what? I'm sorry. I really shouldn't have yelled at you, or that was not nice. And I'm sorry for that. And I actually found that they're extremely forgiving. Usually my son would say, yeah, it's okay. It's all right, mom.
Yeah, it's funny, right? I mean,
And they mean it. They actually mean it. They don't mean to just say, yeah, yeah, I know. Like they, especially the little one, when you apologize, they're like, yeah, I know, I'm sorry. I know you're sorry, but that's okay. I forgive you. Like they will actually be able to verbalize and say, hey, you know what? That's okay. Um,
yeah, it's interesting. Oftentimes, young children, well, most times, children just bounce right back, right?
yeah, they're very resilient.
It's the adults. We're still stuck on it and our feelings around it mainly because we haven't done the work ourselves of validating, calling us out. That was uncomfortable, or I'm embarrassed because of that, or whatever is specifically happening for us. When we acknowledge that, it starts to dissipate a little bit. But yeah, it's interesting how children, they bounce back pretty quickly from an argument or an upset. Whereas we're like, oh, that really hurt my feelings. I can't believe it. That was 3 days ago. They don't even remember the scenario.
Oh no, they don't remember 10 minutes later. Yeah, no, for sure. But the other thing that I have found just recently is uh, in an incident where my daughter being 8-year-old and she's learning to vocalize her feelings and thoughts, and sometimes strongly vocalize, and she would say things that actually really hurt, really hurtful. And I don't even think she actually fully understand what she really mean and the implication of that and how hurtful it can be. And I kind of just at the moment, I knew I only had two way I can respond. One is if I could react, I would totally lash out and it won't be pretty. Or I could just have an adult timeout and respond, which thankfully I took the latter one and I kind of just let it go. And she just went off and she was playing. In 5 minutes, nothing had happened, right? Whereas I'm still there and trying to work through this, and I was having a really good adult timeout. And then I think afterwards, I just called her over and I said, you know what, we need to have a talk. And I was really calm and I said, we really, really need to have a talk because remember when you said that, that was really hurtful. I was really hurt by that. And can you imagine if I said the same thing but to you? How would you feel? And she really got the message, and she kind of like, oh, okay, I heard you, and she left. And then 5 minutes later, she came back and said, you know what, mom, I understand you were hurt, and that was not nice, and I just want to say I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I hurt you. It's like a complete breakthrough moment that had never happened before. Because usually, if I tell her to say, "Hey, you know what? That's not nice, and that's not cool. You need to apologize," most of the time she'd be like, "No, I'm not. I don't want to." And she will fight, and she will fight, and she will fight. But this time, I had no expectations. I just kind of want to say my piece. That was the end of it. I just like, you know what? I'm really hurt by this, and I don't think that's very nice of you to say that to anybody. Um, so I didn't actually expect that she would apologize or even give it a second thought, but she did, and she came back, and it's really quite profound. I felt. So I think it's this respond versus react
Absolutely.
piece.
And you did a lot of the tips that we just talked about. You did there, right? Was you stayed calm in the moment. You took time, a dignified exit. You found some time for yourself. You did address it, but in a super calm way,
Yeah.
without an expectation, which is super helpful. And then you gave her the space to see what she came with it. And what came?
Mhm.
She came around and you got this apology, a sincere apology.
Yeah.
Totally different than the you need to apologize apology, which you're
Right.
still wondering, did she feel that? How deep was that apology, right?
Right.
It's like
Right.
me is basically what it is, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
in that scenario, it was 100% her choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It was her choice. Yeah, for sure. And I will always sort of end, whether it's my daughter or my son, I will always end this in, look, I didn't appreciate your behavior. I didn't appreciate what you said. I didn't appreciate your choice, but I love you. So I always try to make sure that they understand that that's what they did is not something I am happy with.
and you worded it beautifully. I think it's super important to disconnect the child from the behavior so that they can
Mhm.
see. Oftentimes, children will assume things that we don't fill in for them. So, being super clear about, I didn't appreciate the way you acted, and you can talk about the specific behavior, whatever you did,
Right, it is, yeah.
or whatever it is. Um, here's what I do know is that I love you regardless. So you're acknowledging, I didn't appreciate this. This is something that you can change and you have control over, but I love you anyways. And what a
Yeah.
beautiful message, right? We're all perfectly imperfect. And so to be loved
Don't we
with all
all?
the imperfections is so valuable.
Yeah, yeah. And I think at the end of the day, we always try to before bedtime. We always ask, hey, what was the best part of the day for you? So I asked this question, or John would ask this question to both of our kids. Hey, what was the best part for your day today? Sometimes it's just silly. It's like, oh, I don't know. But sometimes they can come back with something quite profound. Sometimes they would say things like, "Oh yeah, we get to go out, we pick flowers," something fairly simple. But sometimes they would be like, "You know what? The best thing is is you. Like they will be saying to me, it's like, oh, like I mean, this is not COVID-19, but before, but it's like I would be out for working 10 hours, right? I'm gone first thing in the morning. By the time I come home, it's like 9 o'clock before they go to bed. And when I ask the same question, I would have like my son at the time was only 5, and he said, the best out of the day is when you came back. Like
Wow.
how amazing is that? I mean, they it really came from their heart and made me feel like, oh, best thing ever.
What a beautiful way to set up the end of their day. Connection,
Yeah.
together, and you just showing, I appreciate what you got out of today. There's no expectation there.
No,
There's
no, no, no
at
expectation.
all, right? Just,
Yeah.
I'm here to listen what is important to you.
Right.
And the fact that you ended their day on that silver lining, now they're able to go back to sleep or fall asleep and really be at peace, hopefully. Versus, can you imagine if you, at the end of the day, started to bring up all of the issues of the day? And why aren't they falling asleep? Well, because they're running all these scenarios in their brain and they're not feeling great about themselves. But instead,
Hmm.
you set them up for this beautiful, positive way to start their sleep. So lovely.
I think this is just this whole series of video has been so amazing, and I'm so thankful that you agreed to work with me on this because I feel like 3 weeks ago when we just started to get the COVID-19 lockdown, I was anxious, I was frightened, I was panicking. There's all kinds of emotions that run through me, and then hearing the fact that we have to start homeschooling our children was just put me over the top. But as the weeks go on with these coping strategy, it really help bring the matter back down to ground level and say, okay, it's not an ideal situation, but we can work through this. We can work through this. And I found that these are tips and strategies that we can take even post COVID. And I think it's just good strategies no matter what time, what age, what scenario. So thank you so much. Is there anything that you wanted to add? And what would be the next video that you would think to be working on?
Yeah, so thank you so much. This has been so lovely to be able to connect with you and share these tools. Like you said, they are not specific to COVID or any pandemic or any crisis. They are
Right.
general, basic, helpful tools and tips that, as an early
Hmm.
childhood educator and behavioral consultant, we use all the time. So
Hmm.
yeah, the next video I think it would be great to dig a little deeper on these emotions with children. Um, and come up with some specific strategies on how to kind of dig deeper on why are your children reacting the way that they are, what could be underlying there, and what kind of tools and tips can we use specifically with different emotions when they're flaring up.
Yeah, and also what if there is a conflict, how do we resolve them?
Yes, yeah,
Right.
it'll happen, right?
Oh, it's happening more these days because we're all in the same house a lot longer.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, and I mean, I think, like you said, Margaret, well, as your son pointed out at bedtime, he wanted more time with you and he got his wish.
Yeah.
So if you start to see the perspective of all of this, this is opportunity. It's
Yeah.
opportunity to connect as a family, to connect our relationships better, to connect with ourselves, what we
Yeah.
need to work on. Um, it's hard times. I don't want to pretend like this is easy.
No, 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 it's not.
Work that's so valuable when you put the time and effort into your connections and your relationships. It's every minute is valuable.
Perfect. Well, I look forward to that. Thank you so much, Shauna. As always, really, really insightful wisdom there. And look forward to our next video. And we'll see you soon. This is Margaret, Dexter Realty, and here with me is Shawna Moores, behavioral consultant. And we'll see you next time. Stay tuned.
Thank
Bye.